we turn our attention to one of the most contentious and enduring debates in Nigeria's governance, the politicizing of anti-corruption. Now, since independence, successive governments have made the fight against corruption a central part of their agenda, from the military eras, war against indiscipline in the 1980s, to the establishment of agencies like the FCC and the ICPC in the Fourth Republic. The stated aim has always been to strengthen transparency and accountability. But over the decades, critics have argued that anti-corruption efforts have often been selective, targeting political opponents while overlooking allies. We've seen this play out in high-profile investigations and prosecutions, which some say were motivated less by justice and more by political calculation. This trend raises a crucial question. When the fight against corruption is perceived as a political weapon, what does it do to public trust, the rule of law, and ultimately our democracy? Now, in a nation where corruption remains a serious obstacle to development, politicizing this fight can erode faith in institutions, deepen political divides, and discourage citizens from believing in equal justice for all. Now, today, to help us unpack the historical context, the current realities, and the implications for Nigeria's political future, we are joined by two distinguished guests. First, we have Professor James Okoroma, a writer, political analyst, and chieftain of the African Democratic Congress, known for his incisive commentary on governance and reform. And also with us, we have Bala Ibrahim, the Director of Publicity of the All Progressive Congress, APC, here to share insight from the ruling party's perspective on the anti-corruption campaign and its challenges. It's a conversation about justice, politics, and the fine line between them, and it begins right now. Thank you for joining us this morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Thank you for having us here. It's my pleasure in person.
Absolutely, our pleasure as well. Yeah. All right, we'll start with you first, Professor James Okoroma. We've had a lot of uproar when it comes to, justice and its relation with it being politicized. What is your take on it at this particular moment? Just for example, a few days ago, Tambol was, called into the EFCC to probe him for about 186 billion naira, discrepancy. So what is your take on it, and how do you think it affects, politics and the justice system as well?
Well, thank you. It's disheartening. What is happening in the country is in line with the culture of destruction, corruption, and perversion of public institutions since 2023. EFCC is, nobody is against the anti-corruption fight. But when you make it a tool for political intimidation, it becomes questionable. Today, EFCC has become a tool for witch hunting political opponents, beating them into line, and it only concerns, EFCC is more serious when it concerns opposition figures. In recent times, a former governor of Delta State, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, was brought to the public glare, accused of all sorts of things, close to a trillion. That matter was given the widest publicity. Immediately he joined the APC. Nobody has heard anything about it again. There was another one concerning former governor of Kogi, Yaya Bello. They simply entertained the nation. The man was busy marrying wives and entertaining himself. Since then, nobody is saying anything serious about it. So for me, what is happening is corruption, perversion of public institutions. They have destroyed and they have continued to destroy public institutions in Nigeria. Look at INEC. The electoral process has been corrupted. INEC is almost dead. Look at the judiciary. Judges giving judgments without justice. Today in Nigeria, it's difficult for you to get justice, especially when it concerns political cases. INEC, the judiciary, the EFCC, they're all institutions of state that are almost dead. Tambuwa, you're talking about Tambuwa. They've also extended it to former Imo State governor. These are some of the best, brightest stars in Nigeria's political firmament. If you go to Sokoto State today, some of the legacy projects, best infrastructure in place there, were put there by Tambuwa when he was governor. When he was Speaker of the House of Representatives, he did his best. We saw the independence of the legislature. He worked with Emeka Ihedioha. Nobody talked about what he did in office. It's now that there's a move to change the status quo. There's a move to give Nigeria a new direction. The government is failing everything. Judiciary, health, education, in every aspect of governance. There is disillusionment. Opposition figures have come together to give Nigeria a new direction, to ensure that there is hope.
All right. Professor James, before we move on, let us hear from Malam Bala Ibrahim as part of, the ruling party, the APC, and with all these allegations, saying that the ruling party is using, all these institutions, especially, the judicial system. What is your take on it, and how can you elaborate on, the processes of what is going on?
Well, thank you very much. But first, let me clarify one thing. It is corrupt in itself to accuse the ruling party of politicizing the process of enforcing accountability. That thinking is in itself corruption. The ruling party is not the same as the government. The ruling party formulates policies while the government executes programs for the benefit of the public. It is not the duty of the ruling party to arrest, to prosecute, or to do whatever that is necessary to make people accountable. Rather, the ruling party is the mirror through which the government in power sees itself and corrects itself as it moves on. Now, as a party, the APC has a policy and ambition to ensure that there is proper accountability in the polity. It always holds its members accountable to the provisions of the constitution of the party. It is not in the interest of the ruling party to see to it that its members are seen to be breaking the law or doing that which is injurious to the system. And it does not provide shelter to anybody, regardless of his position, to do or to misgovern resources that are entrusted in his care. What happened to Tambuwal as a former governor, as a lawyer, can best be addressed by the court of law. That is justice. It is not for people to interpret any action of the law enforcement agency in the discharge of its duty as politicization of its duties. Don't forget, among the people that are accused and are under trial by the EFCC are prominent members of the ruling party, including Yahaya Bello, which Professor mentioned, including former Minister Betta. There is a long list of people that are members of the ruling party. But you see, when these people are put to trial, the people who accuse the ruling party of selective justice, they don't go to the market with such accusation. They keep quiet. But as soon as someone outside the party is accused, all hell comes loose. And the law says the person that is accused is presumed innocent until proved guilty. Why don't you go by the provision of the law? The fact that Tambuwal was taken to EFCC and questioned or made to write statement and released on bail as provided by the law does not mean Tambuwal is guilty. Tambuwal is a lawyer. He knows that. But for you to prove your innocence, you must answer questions. If you don't answer questions, you leave everything to suspicion and thinking, and people can misinterpret what was done like it is being done now.
All right.
So, Madam Bala, you spoke about, accountability, because I think I had to, note them down. You spoke about accountability. You mentioned fairness. You mentioned, a whole lot as to why these, people are being dragged concerning, crimes that they have committed. But then also, critics have argued that, opposition members, when they get to join, the ruling party, and their cases suddenly go quiet. We always hear this thing that, oh, when you are coming out from another opposition party and you're going to the ruling party, your sins are being forgiven. What do you have to say about that?
Well, all I need to say is people need to understand the process of prosecution and the law in Nigeria. The law and the processes of prosecution are cumbersome, and they take a long time. As I speak to you, Sambo Suki, the one-time national security advisor to the president of Nigeria, former President Goodluck Jonathan, is still in court after 10 years. Now, there are people who have been in court for upwards of 15 years. Litigation in Nigeria, I'm sorry to say, I'm not a lawyer, it's a long-term process. So long that people think the delay is done deliberately in order to make these people escape justice or make them feel safe if in the process they join the party in power. It is not. Lawyers are the ones you should put to test on this issue. Why does it take so long? And this duration or the dilly-dally in justice has even made the judges themselves suspect. They are being accused. Professor, in his list of people that are accused of misconduct, he mentioned the judiciary. And I'm sure this accusation is not because he is not the first to say this, is not because of anything, but because of the delay in delivering justice. I'm not a lawyer, but I've heard lawyers say justice delayed is justice denied. Why are they denying justice? Why are they delaying justice? And the meaning, the simple interpretation of justice is fairness. Now, fairness means you do that which ought to be done under a normal circumstance. If you violate that provision, you have done injustice. So it is not because people have joined the ruling party that they encounter this delay or enjoy this temporary immunity to prison. No, this is not only done to people who are members of the ruling party. Members of the opposition, when they were in power, had the same thing. There is the need for those involved or those in charge to ensure that the process of delivering justice is stampeded so that fairness can be introduced into the process.
So now you are saying that, the APC is, exhibiting fairness in all of the cases that we're seeing now?
As much as possible. Like I told you from the very beginning, the APC is not in charge of prosecution. Neither is it in charge of arresting or accusing people.
But then, sorry to cut you short, there could be an inclination when it comes to that due to the fact that, okay, it is the ruling party and those from that party are in power, so that there could be an intrusion when it comes to justice.
That in itself is injustice done to the ruling party. You see, the ruling party, the constitution is very clear. In politics, there is demarcation of responsibility. You have the judiciary, you have the executive, you have the legislature, and you have the party in power. The party in power is not executive. It does not carry out executive function. It is in charge of the policies and programs of the government in power, but it does not enforce or execute those policies. It is the government in power that does that. From time to time, the party carries out what it calls clinic to look at the efforts by the government in power. How far are they fulfilling the promises made to the people? If there is any deviation, the party has a responsibility to caution and advise that, look, you need to adjust here, you need to move this way here, including this issue of accusation of the rule of the government in power being selective in the execution or accusation. It is the duty of the party in power, yes, to raise this issue at the clinic and say that this. There and then, the relevant arms will see to it that if it is in line with the policy of the party to do that, it is implemented. If it is not in line with the policy of the party, it is corrected. And I can tell you, this is not in line with the policy or principles of the party.
All right. Professor, let us move back to you. The question is, from your own observation, do you believe that there are interferences when it comes to court proceedings? And are there any, is there transparency and accountability when it comes to these processes as well?
Well, it's very clear. What you have is selective application of justice. Nobody is against the anti-corruption fight. We want accountability. We have seen that one of the greatest threats to development in Nigeria is corruption. We're for it. ADC is for it. Nigerians are for it. But it is clear, if you see look at what is happening critically, that those who have been witch hunted are opposition figures. He said something about a political party not being responsible for what the executive does. An individual does not contest election. It's a political party. It's platforms. Parties contest elections. When you are elected on the platform of a political party, you go in there to execute the policies and programs encapsulated in the manifesto of your party. All those who are in this government are implementing the programs and policies of the APC. All the people who are manning these institutions are employees of the APC. They were appointed by the executive, headed by the APC. It's an APC-led government. We are not against anti-corruption fight, but what we're saying, why must it be opposition figures? And then their own people. If you're in the opposition, you join APC tomorrow, your sin will be forgiven. It's clear.
All right. We have heard the saying all the time, but then the question is, whenever there's a ruling party, every other political party comes out and says that we can do better, as you are from the ADC, and saying that this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong. What do you think the ADC can do that is better than the APC?
First, I want to say that ADC is a match of history. It's an idea whose time has come. Look at the country. We have to rebuild the country. Every aspect of our national life is under stress. Look at education. There's a slide in education, poor motivation of lecturers, teachers. The sector is under stress. Look at health. Look at the whole economy. Investors, there's collapse of investor confidence. Are we able to attract investments? Look at power. Every aspect is under stress. So ADC is coming to lay a foundation for a new Nigeria and give direction to the country. Look at security. How many Nigerians have been killed recently? In spite of the huge amount of money we're spending in that sector, there's no solution. Look at Benue. Look at every Nigerian today is a victim. We are victims of this system. As long as this system continues, we're all victims. Nobody knows what will happen tomorrow. Nobody is safe. ADC will come or has come to give the country a new direction and ensure that a new foundation is laid for the country. The economy is in shambles. To travel from Imo to Abuja by air, I paid 234,000 naira by air. By road transportation is no longer an option. If you have money to pay ransom, you're not even sure whether you'll be alive. The roads are death traps. Look at all the federal roads. Most of them are in shambles. What is this government doing?
But Professor,
today, more Nigerians are in poverty.
But Nigerians argue that the ADC is not even structured enough, being that, you know, the people that are even in the party are the same people that we know coming from other opposition parties, you know, to be in the ADC. So how sure are we that they can be able to handle the issues that we have in Nigeria presently now?
Well, we have our own ideology,
okay,
which they have embraced. And if you look at them, sometimes the system in which you operate, the political party you belong, may be an impediment. ADC has a program, has an ideology which they have embraced. We want to look at Nigeria, make it an egalitarian society where justice, fairness will reign. The leaders that are coming have their records for whatever they may have done in the past. Is not an impediment as far as I'm concerned. They have embraced a new party. Our party has an ideology which will pave way for a new Nigeria. So I believe with what we have, with the manifesto of this party, and the programs and policies we have packaged, we will see a new country.
And so have you all decided in the ADC who should take the presidential ticket in 2027?
There is no preferred candidate. There will be a democratic contest.
Okay.
Nobody has a preferred candidate. Every presidential aspirant will be subjected to democratic contest. And once you emerge, we will all support you.
All right. I'd like to actually hear from Malam Bala Ibrahim with us moving on to the 2027 elections. How is the APC going to make sure, and the people that are responsible in making sure that there is accountability and transparency, and how can it be able to convince Nigerians that they're the right fit going forward?
Well, thank you very much. The APC, All Progressive Congress, is a progressive party. It's a party whose ambition is to move forward. And in moving forward, the party looks at situations, look at the problems, and prefer solutions to the problems. The APC has formed the Progressive Institute, which is an institute or school that brings together people with knowledge of the problems and solutions to those problems. Mostly people from the academia. Without consulting the leadership of the party, I'm extending an invitation to Professor to come forward and join that institute, because I believe as a professor, he could be of help to our problem. He did mention that every aspect, every segment of Nigeria is under stress. And I like that. But the question to ask is, who put that country or this country under that stress? When you check, you find that it is people who have led the country before, most of whom are now in the All Democratic Alliance, I think that Congress. I have difficulty pronouncing the acronym of the ADC. So whatever it is, when you take a thorough look at them, you find that these are the same people who put Nigeria under stress. They are not people, they are not angels that came from Mars or Jupiter. They are the same people who misgovern this country. And now they have come together under an alliance and saying they will rescue Nigeria, rescue the country from those who are already putting the country on path. He talked about insecurity. Certainly there is insecurity in this country, but not in the proportion that it was when some of them were in power. Time was when for you to move from Jabi to Wuse-2, you must encounter roadblocks mounted by security operatives. All over Abuja, bombs were blowing per minute per minute. Ever since the APC came to power, there has not been an incident, recorded incidents of bomb explosion in Abuja. Time was when movement between Abuja and Kaduna was impossible. Now the roads are motorable, they are passable, even if at a lesser degree of confidence, but certainly movement is being done. Time was when food was not affordable in Nigeria when these people were in power. A lot of things have happened with a view to correcting the anomaly of the past. But you see, you don't make a correction overnight of a mistake that was done over years. It takes time. And this government of APC is doing everything to get Nigerians to the El Dorado. We just have to be patient, and it is our mission and ambition that before 2027, a lot will be put in place in such a way that Nigerians will see indeed that the party has them at heart, and a lot is going to be done to make sure that heaven is not far away from reach.
All right. Quickly before we go, I'll throw this question to both of you, and I'd like to hear from you. Speaking of politicizing anti-corruption, first off, Professor, what can the APC do to make sure that anti-corruption is not politicized with all the allegations thrown to the All Progressives Congress? No.
Nobody is against the fight against corruption. We want a country where the resources of the nation will be used for development and to take care of the people. But what we are against is selective application of the laws. If they can be fair, nobody is against that. But where you consistently hunt opposition figures raises a lot of questions. So if they are fair, if they apply the laws generally across the board, irrespective of the political leaning of a politician, we will accept it. But where you hunt people, conduct media trials, hold a man, put a badge on his chest, accuse him publicly, in the end, most of those that are accused publicly go scot-free. So if they are fair, if they are just, we will accept the fight against corruption. But when you use the laws of corruption, of the anti-corruption laws, when you use them as tools for political intimidation, witch hunting, it becomes a problem. And people will resist. We are getting to a point where people will resist. That is what we're against. Let it run across board. Those APC has become a safe haven. And let me tell you, this government, as far as I'm concerned, is visionless. Look at the money borrowed between 2023 and now. Is higher than the money borrowed between 1960 when we had independence and 2023. What are we doing with the money? You remove subsidy. Where is the money going to? More Nigerians are falling into poverty. There's institutional decay. Our roads are death traps. There is nothing you can point at. Look at the coastal project road that constructed from Lagos to Calabar. Every known procurement law was violated. It has no direct economic bearing on the welfare of Nigerian people. You awarded it. And Nigerians are suffering. Education is down. Nurses just resumed from a strike. Go to our hospitals, they are in shambles. There is no vision, no clear-cut direction as to where the nation is going. As we're here, if you go to my village, you see people who can't even afford a meal a day. And they are Nigerians suffering with all the resources we have in this country. Is this the country Zeke, Awolowo, and Ahmadu Bello fought for? In the Second Republic, first of all, things were better. So there is no clear-cut vision as to where this country is going. Economically, politically, socially. Even democracy we are talking about is being raped on a daily basis. Look at, we're between the devil and the deep blue sea. That is what is going on. Let me refer you to MK Abiola. I may sound somehow. Abiola said, it's like that when rape is inevitable, the victim should just relax and enjoy it. We are just being raped.
Right.
And people are saying they are providing leadership. There is a collapse of leadership. And ADC is an intervention move. Political intervention.
All right. Before we go, they're calling on us. Before we go, I'd actually like to hear from Madam Bala Ibrahim. Quickly, what is your response to that?
Thank you very much. You see, America is the beacon of democracy. It is the champion of democracy all over the world. Nigeria's democracy, the presidential system of government, is borrowed from America. So we try to imitate America. Until recently, Donald Trump was in the opposition. While in the opposition, he was accused, he was charged to court. He appeared in court. He followed through the prosecution. Within the period of the prosecution, he contested, he won from the opposition. He is now the president of America. When that was going in, when the prosecution was going on, there wasn't any hula baloo about the opposition being intimidated, the prosecution being selective, and what have you. That is America, the beacon of democracy. I can imagine, I'm just thinking, what would have happened if that scenario was played out in Nigeria? People like Professor James will be all over the media everywhere shouting that the opposition is being prosecuted simply because it is in the opposition. You see, corruption does not have tribe, it does not have religion, neither does it belong to any section of the country. Anybody can be accused of corruption. And when that person is being accused, for God's sake, let us allow the process, let us allow the law to work. We must not be seeing things from the prism of tribalism or selective judgment or prosecution. We should see things from the point of fairness. If fairness is not done, that is why we have room for appeal. We can continue appealing until we get what we want. So, for God's sake, it is not the ambition of the APC to be selective in the prosecution, and it is not the ambition of the APC to see to it that it entrench people that are corrupt in leadership.
All right. Thank you very much, Professor James, for being here. And thank you so much, Malam Bala Ibrahim, for being here on Daybreak.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for bringing me out of bed without notice.
Absolutely.